Welcome to Lawfolds Farm, episode 27, with me, Mr. Sealy P. It's been a few days since I've been on Lawfolds, with a couple of excursions to Sandy Bay and a couple of gaps in between. So I thought I'd jump back on here because we had some work to do. After just purchasing the new Holland CR10.90, we are going to harvest field 11. Get the soybean off it and then think about planting, mine's gone blank, corn. So this will need to be taken over to field 11. So let's jump in. And get the header. Now, for some reason Sandy Bay is proving a bit of a headache at the moment, only because of the initial live stream and multiplayer, then the multiplayer with Sealy Egg, where we had difficulties with the sound. We've then done a test ourselves and we've managed to crack it, so the next one hopefully will be fine. But yeah, we just seem destined for it not to work. It's a bit peculiar. That said, we're on Lawfolds, so off we go. I haven't got far to go because I believe the turning's just after this walled enclosure. I'm still trying to get to grips with the sound on my new headset and mic. It sounds crisper, but it does sound further away, if that makes sense. More distant. So, yeah, it's a interesting one. It's a more expensive headset, but for some reason it's got a. I've got to readjust everything. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Close that header up. Open the harvester. It's a big old header, this one. And this hasn't been fertilised, this field, so I really don't know what the yield's going to be on it. It's not going to be great, I wouldn't have thought. See how we get on. Ah, brilliant. Right, before I do that, I just need to go to field 22 because the tank is empty. Now the other thing with this is, every time I leave the field to get a new pallet, for some reason the worker then forgets which way it's supposed to go, so this is going to be interesting. Although, that said, we're getting quite a way across the field with a smallish bit left, but it is taking a long time. Now, it was remarked the other day when I mentioned this that someone said the best thing you can do is bring the pallets to the tractor, that way it stays where it is and it doesn't get confused, and that's a really valid point. I probably should have done that, left a vehicle out here or gone round with the low loader to the tractor rather than the tractor to the low loader. That probably would have been a better way of doing it. So this is where it's going to get interesting, because when I set this up, if this now turns right at the top of the field and goes back towards the crops it's already done, I may have an issue. And likewise, if I then go to the other side of the field and it does the wrong way on that, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I've just got fingers crossed that this doesn't go wrong. moment of truth. Nope, wrong way. Great. This is a massive problem now. Right, I'm now fingers crossed on that, so hopefully the worker's going to turn the right way this time over on field 22. We'll see. As I was saying, anyway, this field hasn't been fertilised at all because I've just bought it, so it is as it is. It's a biggish field, but the yield's not going to be as good as it could be, but there's not a lot I can do about that. So, price of soybean is, I say it's low, it's not low. They're all in the red, and I think Highland Grain, just over to our left, is paying 3,000 and something, which is good. It's just, that is a good price. Although it's low for this map set on easy, it's a good price. So I'll be selling it there. I'd say this is a fair size field, so this will be one that when we stick corn in it, and if we do it for a silage crop, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a good one, hopefully. Then with another big chunk of money, probably buy another one, and so on. I might buy a field actually closer over to Lewis. I haven't got any fields over that way really at the moment, and I haven't really got many over by East Law. Field 39 kind of runs across the bottom and joins them all up, but we kind of started off with that one. Start increasing my portfolio of fields. The animals are all doing fine, had a quick check on them. The extra sheep are producing wool at a faster rate. I do need to buy more, and I might well buy some more. But the price of wool's dropped. It was on just under 20,000 for 1,000, which is incredibly high. Which means, what, each one of those pallets of wool would be about 40,000. It's now dropped to 17, which, like I say, it's red, and you're thinking, oh no, it's dropped, it's low. 17,000. That still gives you 34,000 for each pallet. That's a lot of money. But I say the yield on this isn't great. Bearing in mind we're a good, what, 2/3 of the way up this strip, and we're only on just over 2,000 litres. It's not going to be a huge yield on here. So back to moment of truth time again. Gone to the other side of the field because it turned the wrong way down the field. Please turn to the right. Yes. Right, now I can leave this. At last, it's actually working. Brilliant. Leave that going. And what I'll do now is go and grab the lorry, the man, with the trailer, get over to field 11, ready to unload. Fantastic. I have got the 5,000 litres of wood chips in the trailer that the wood chipper had kind of stored in it, so when I put it under it, that filled it up in the last episode. Sell that, whiz over to field, well, say whiz over to field 11, it's right next to us, right here. Just so I'm ready to unload when I need to. Huge payout. Actually 5,600 for 5,000 litres is actually pretty good. So pretty good. It's very good. Now, field 11's directly ahead. The harvester's over the far side. There's a gate. Excuse me. The gate we drove in with the harvester is over that direction, in that corner. But if we turn left up here, there is also a double gate at the top of the field. If any of you remember back to the sort of early episodes when I was wood chipping and the price was higher over Aberdeen grain than it was here at Highland grain, it's a kind of shortcut I was using with the lorry. When you come to the top here, if you open all the gates across the top here, you can run directly across this at the top of the map right over to Aberdeen grain. So this actually works out quite handy if you're unloading from this field, especially if we do corn on this field and we do use it for silage harvest. It means the biogas plant is just over there behind those trees. We can unload straight through that gate. We're there at the biogas plant. That's why I bought this field. I wanted it to be close to the biogas plant, so if we did do another silage harvest, we weren't spending half our time, if not more, hauling backwards and forwards, which is when I did the corn crop over on field 28-29 over by the farm. It was a long drive backwards and forwards, so this just kind of makes life a little bit easier. If I'm only getting about 3,000 for each of these strips, it's going to take about 4 strips to fill that harvester, so I'll just wait here with this, and the harvester should come back up. Could take a while, it's a big field. The other thing I could be doing, in all honesty, which isn't a bad idea, if I get the lorry off the field, while this is harvesting, I could get out here with a tractor and the cultivator and start cultivating behind the harvester. That way I'm kind of processing the field as we go. That'll work. I'll do that. Go and grab a tractor, go and grab the cultivator, start cultivating behind the harvester. I grabbed the Fendt. It's got plenty of horsepower for pulling this cultivator. It's what, 390 horsepower is the tractor, and the cultivator needs 300, so that's all good. Valtra is still going the right direction, and we've only got that small bit now to finish off, and then that'll be the poplars planted. Yeah, taking a while. Not far up here, to be fair. Okay. We are here. Just think, if I cultivate behind the harvester, then get the sprayer over here as, or the fertiliser spreader as well, it's good to go for seeding again. Just kind of makes sense. So that should, I'm just thinking now, the beacons will be coming on, if they're not on already, on that harvester, because on that 4th strip down, so it's going to be, oh no, that takes 14,000, doesn't it? Not 12. Oh, okay, it won't be yet then. Just thinking, in my head, it was 12,500 litre capacity, but I'm pretty sure the CR10.90's got a 14,500 litre tank, so it won't be just yet. Right, leave this to continue. And then once the harvest is ready to be emptied with the first load, we'll whiz over and unload that. And we'll carry on preparing this for the next seeding. Now what I didn't factor in, I'll say factor in, what I didn't time right was the fact that it's now coming up the field and it's going to be full in a minute and the pipe's on the wrong side. So I should have emptied it on the way down the last stretch, but it's not the end of the world. I can just jump into the harvester, swing it round and unload. Just means I can't unload on the move. It's interesting actually, I was watching some YouTube clips the other day of real farms, and it's interesting, different views. Some people saying, yeah, absolutely, unload on the move, speeds up the process, it means you you can get through your crops quicker, you can unload, and you can have vehicles just coming backwards and forwards and the harvester never stops. Other people saying that no, absolutely never ever unload on the move, there's too much risk of collision, too much risk of damage to the vehicles. So it's interesting, yeah, see what, you know, what people think, and that's real farmers, not, you know, just people's kind of opinions of what they think you might do or should do. It's what they're doing on real farms, so yeah, it's interesting. I suppose it depends how cautious you are and how worried about damaging vehicles and stuff, which makes perfect sense. You don't really want to be, but I think this day and age, with all the GPS and sort of, you know, people using drones to map their fields and working out the best way to spread fertiliser. I watched quite a few New Holland and on Farmers Weekly websites and YouTube channel saying about the use of technology on farms now and mapping fields with drones. Then they plug the like a USB stick into the computer or into a computer to work out yield rates and where the fertiliser should be spread and where there needs to be more of it. That then gets plugged into the tractor sets off, and that's times the seeder or the fertiliser, or it's incredible. It really is amazing what they're capable of doing. So I suppose if you could set the GPS on both vehicles, you could unload on the move without really having any human input, I suppose. That's where you have issues, I guess, is human error, isn't it? Collisions and things like that, I suppose. But then I suppose there's always the possibility that technology can fail. So, I don't know. Again, I'm chatting away, just mumbling about things, you know, as I do. Right, so first unload done. And it's continuing. I'm about, well, just under halfway over this field, so yeah, like I say, it's not going to be a massive yield on this particular one, but then once you reset it, fertilise it, get it all ready to go, it should be good. This cultivator will catch up with the harvester at some point. This is moving at 10, I think. The harvester goes at about 6, so at the moment the harvester's ahead and should stay ahead for a little bit, because the width of the harvester header is wider than the cultivator, so it shouldn't, I should always have a gap, it shouldn't catch up too quickly, but it will do at some point. I think I'm thinking now is, next step, go and grab a tractor with the fertiliser spreader on and get that catching up behind the cultivator, have a real kind of multitasking field going on, I think. Yeah, that's the next step. Go and grab the next tractor. just going to refill it, and I'm also going to fill up the fuel. It doesn't need filling up yet, but while I'm right by the fuel tank, I might as well. There you go, close the cover. Yeah, that's something that in the last update that came out, I might have mentioned it before actually. When you go to the seed and fertiliser refill points, the cover's open, but then when you drive away they don't automatically close anymore. I think with some of them they don't even automatically open, you have to open them yourself, but again, it's no big deal. I've left the road crop tyres on this only because I was doing field 34 the last time I used it, and it seems pointless changing it over just for going over to the field, so I won't bother. Get this over to field 11 as well. On the way past, have a quick check-in on the Valtra on field 22. I never seem to pass the bottom of this field with the Valtra at this end for some reason. That gap is narrowing. Brilliant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the cultivator turn around, or the Fendt turn around with the worker, and then once it starts down this next strip I'm going to stop it because it is catching up with the harvester, and just give the harvester a bit of a buffer again, so I will just stop it. I'll move the lorry over as well, and then I can set the fertiliser spreader off, which is just at the bottom left hand corner down there. Well, the way I'm looking, it's the bottom left hand corner. On the map it's bottom right, but we're not going to quibble over that. So just stop there, turn off his engine, and we'll go, I think, and yeah, we'll go and get the fertiliser spreader. Oh no, I need to move the lorry first. Move the lorry out of the way so the spreader can get moving. Like I say, with the ground response on, you can see how much the lorry kind of sinks into the ground. If it was wetter and boggier, this would get stuck. Absolutely, I would be using a tractor and a trailer, or even a tractor and an auger wagon. One of those options, probably. Right, fertiliser spreader. Okay. Jump in this and set him off. Or her, potentially. I always say him, it is a her. Done it again. The harvester's on its way back up the field. It's on about 11,000 litres. It might get to the top, but the pipe's facing the wrong way again. Of course it is. Ah, oh, dearie me. Right, this will probably get maybe 2, maybe 3 strips done before I need to stop it, and then let the cultivator catch up with the harvester. Then this can then catch up with the cultivator. But it does mean we're processing the field all in kind of one go. Having the extra tractor helps, because I've got multiple tractors now working all over the place, which is exactly what I needed. Right, okay. We are moving forward for field 11. Luckily for me, the harvester turned round just as it filled up, so I can empty the pipes out. That's great. I've had to stop the fertiliser spreader because he's catching up with the cultivator. I've stopped the cultivator because he's caught up with the harvester. So I need to empty the harvester and allow that to move on, and then we can allow all the others to catch up. The next step is going to be then to get another tractor over here, and I think I've got the case Magnum is left at the yard. The Valtra is still continuing his job, and bring over the seeder, and then I can start the seeding following along behind the fertiliser spreader. Everybody's involved. So while that's unloading, go and get the seeder. It came up with a message that the worker has stopped unexpectedly. He has an empty grain tank, or she has an empty grain tank, with just that much left to go, which is frustrating. So I'm going to get the Magnum with the seeder over to field 11. Then I'm going to get back over here to the Valtra, and hopefully it will turn the right way. Who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. And that'll be the last, probably 3 strips I think, and then that will be field 22 done at last. What's it taken, 3 episodes, something like that? That was terrible driving. Right, back up, back into the field. Try that again, tighter this time. There we go. Right, beacons on. We'll get this to field 22. A lot of movement of equipment today. Did fill it up just to make sure, and I have checked to make sure it's set on corn so I don't start planting the wrong crop. I've done that before. Right, Magnum's ready to go, set on corn. Another corn crop going in the ground, or maize, whatever you want to call it. Harvester's going over there. I'm going to set up the fertiliser spreader and the cultivator in a minute, just to check on the Valtra. It's going the right way. Hallelujah. Okay. The Valtra I can now leave. That's going to finish off. It'll probably, I don't think it'll stop, it'll probably just keep going over what it's done before if I'm not careful. So I'm probably going to get maybe 2, maybe 3 more strips out of this, but what's in that pallet will be fine. Wow, all of them turning around at the same time. That's pretty impressive. This is one busy field. Excuse me. The harvesting's done, and the harvester has been put away. I say put away, folded up. It's been put over here. I've got not a full load, but not far off in here. Cultivator is continuing with this last little bit here. Fertilizer I've stopped just up there because that's in danger of spraying over, and I don't know how that's going to affect the worker. It's, you know, can go a bit haywire. And then my other worker is just over there with the Massey Ferguson and the Horsch Maestro, and that is putting the maize in the ground. So what I'm going to do now is take the lorry over to Highland Grain, which is just next to us here, and sell the soybean that I've got. And that should now turn around and then do the last trip back down, and then that little bit, and that'll be this field done. So field 11 has had a bit of a work over today. Bit of field work. Nothing wrong with that. So we've got 50,000 litres. I said it wouldn't be a very high yield, and 50,000 litres is a lot of soybean. But because it hadn't been fertilised, had it been with 3 fertiliser states, that yield would have been way higher. So 50,000 is good, but it could have been a lot better. So that's what I meant. I'm not, you know, that is a good yield. 50,000 is brilliant, but for the size of field, it could have been, should have been a lot higher than that. So that's what I mean. This lorry seriously needs a wash. It's a real mess. You see what I meant as well? Through the trees there is the biogas plant, which is right next to the field here. What we could do with really is a gate just along here where the harvester is. Straight through the gate, straight into here. That would make life even easier. How easy do I want my life to be? It's just laziness, isn't it, really? So let's see what we'll get for this little lot. We'll just check on here. What are we going for? Yeah, they're all in the red, the soybean, but it's paying 3,275. That's still that's a good price. It may say it's red, but it's a good price. So wow, 165,000. That is a very good price. And on that rather cheerful payment, I'm quite happy with that. That's really good. That is the end of the episode. What I'm going to do before we just sign off is just have a quick look on here. We'll go up to field 11, and as we can see, the worker is halfway across with corn. If we go to growth, we have got it cultivated, and soil composition. The fertiliser spreader is putting the first in, and then the seeder is going over seeding and fertilising, which is putting the second in. So at some point when it gets to its first growth stage, I can either come over here with a weeder or come over here with the fertiliser spreader again and get the third growth stage, fertilising state, and then we're good. It's all going really, really well. So that's it for this episode. A lot of field work on field 11, using various different bits of equipment, and kind of all vehicles involved. Field 22 is done. The poplars are in and planted, so at last it's ready to go, and that will start going as well. That will get fertiliser sprayed as well, because I'm assuming it'll be the same thing. The more times you fertilise it, the better the yield will be on the poplars as well, I assume. If you like the episode, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share the video, please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.